Okay, with that, we'll move on to item 5A, which is 1301 Santa Lucia Avenue, a request for a use permit to allow an addition which increases the gross floor area by greater than 50% cumulatively, which is actually 121% per sections 12230B1 of the San Bruno Municipal Code. Staff report, please.
Thank you and good evening. As stated, the applicant has applied for a use permit to construct an addition that increases the floor area by greater than 50%. The subject site is located on the corner of Santa Lucia Avenue and Balboa Way and is currently developed with a one-story single-family dwelling. The project proposes a 1,440 square foot addition to the first and second story. The first story would be remodeled and expanded to create a more open floor plan. Additionally, it will accommodate a new two-car garage and an internal stairwell that will connect the first and second floor living areas. The second story addition will contain 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. Additionally, it will also contain 1 office. The project would result in a home that amounts to 2,637 square feet and will contain 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and 1 office. The Architectural Review Committee did review the proposal at their January meeting. At that meeting, the Architectural Review Committee forwarded the project onto the Planning Commission with a favorable recommendation. They did have one minor recommendation, and that was to add more detail to the front entrance, which the applicant has done so. They have increased the width of the porch and added a guardrail feature as well. Regarding the use permit entitlement, it is important to note that the request before us tonight is strictly for a 50% expansion. The addition is meeting all other development standards. It's meeting the FAR requirements, lot coverage requirements, setbacks, and height standards. Staff does support the project. We do find that the second story is well integrated with the existing single-family home. The architect is utilizing second story setbacks from the first story below, which is a recommended facade articulation technique within the residential design guidelines. Additionally, the applicant will be utilizing hardy plank siding, and horizontal siding is a common feature within the neighborhood. All window and door trim will also be consistent on all elevations. I would like to point out that staff did receive a number of comments from the neighborhood. When we originally sent the courtesy notice out when the project was originally submitted in April of 2010, an adjacent property owner on Balboa Way expressed concern with the second story addition and felt that the second story addition was going to block his view of the tree-lined streets to the north. Staff did explain to the property owner that the City of San Bruno does not have a view ordinance, that the second story addition was meeting all setback and height requirements, and was utilizing a 312 roof slope, which minimizes the overall height of the structure. Since that time, the applicant has revised the southern elevation to include more articulation. Specifically, the second story is now stepped back from the first story below by 1 foot, and the applicant has also introduced a more consistent window pattern on that south side elevation. That property owner is no longer concerned with the addition, is in support of that revised southern elevation. Additionally, staff recently met with 2 property owners discussing the details of the project. I actually met in person with those property owners and discussed all the details, development standards, everything. The property owner adjacent directly to the rear did express some concern regarding privacy impacts. However, after meeting with staff and realizing that the second story was set back 8 feet from the first story below along that, I believe, the west elevation, she did not have any issues with the addition at that time. With that, staff does recommend that the Planning Commission approve the use permit request subject to findings of fact 1 through 7 and conditions of approval 1 through 24 within the staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much. Does the commission have any questions? Commissioner Marshall.
Just real quick, and I know it's a minor thing, but on condition 23 on the hardwire smoke detector, should we start including this hardwire smoke detector plus CO detector? Is that the January 1st requirement, correct?
Yes. It will be required anyway, so yeah,
right,
we should definitely
put it on here.
Conditions.
Just on the boilerplate stuff?
Yeah, we can update that condition.
I'd like to ask staff if you've considered the condition that I commented at the last meeting about groundwater and surface water that could enter the ground and pass under a property?
We could add that language to that specific condition if you would like.
Okay, but please send me a copy of it when you come up with it.
Okay.
As I brought it up, I'd like to see if you and I had the same understanding.
You can definitely do that.
Thank you very much. Any other commission questions for staff before the public hearing? Okay, with that I'll open the public hearing and ask the applicant please to come to the podium first and give your name and make any comments you'd like to make on the application.
My name is William Lim, and I'm the architect for Alice Young. And I think Matt did a great job describing the project. And I would just like to add that we've worked with Matt, I think, more than a year on this project, and we've looked at various floor plans and elevations, and we've looked at the building setback and the configuration of the property. As you know, the property has an unusual footprint. It's not a straight rectangle by any means, and we had to get a survey crew to survey the property. So we pretty much put all that to rest, and I think that the owner is committed to meeting all the design guidelines, and we certainly followed all that in designing this project. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer that. Other than,
Thank you. Any commissioner questions for the applicant?
If you, excuse me, I'm sorry. Through the
Commissioner
chair,
Chase.
You're familiar with all the conditions of approval and all that, and you're in agreement with everything there? You've seen it all?
yes, I have seen it, and I've read through them, and there's nothing unusual in there that I can see.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are there any other members of the public who'd like to comment on this application? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring the matter back to the commission for discussion.
Through the chair,
Commissioner Marshall.
I move that we approve use permit 1007 based on findings facts 1 through 7 and revised conditions approval conditions of 1 through 24.
Second.
Okay, on the question, I'd like to comment that I think staff is, with each meeting, doing a better job on the write-ups on the applications, and it makes it possible, if members of the public here don't realize it, makes it possible to make a judgment without having to ask a lot of questions because so many are answered. With that, I'd like to call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and there is a 10-day appeal period.